Hi.
Hello.
Okay. According to Dupree's and Ready 2014, curriculum discourse is marked by an increase in central planning and control on a global level, which is mostly influenced by the government politically. So, on this interview or discussion that we're going to have, we're going to give you a brief definition or the meaning of this discourse. What does it mean? And also in comparison with other countries, and also examples, and also to give a few suggestions and recommendations on how we can go forward with this curriculum discourse.
For future planning and central planning in the future. Okay, firstly, what one may ask is that what is a discourse? In this term, when we made a research, discourse actually meant a continuous communication or a dialogue relating to a particular change,
Yes.
looking at various options. So we're going to firstly discuss the curriculum studies discourse in terms of South Africa. They say in South Africa, curriculum discourse is largely realized through and presented by a political or policy document. In that way, could be a CAPS curriculum policy present a concrete political position and answer the knowledge and the question and the process of education.
Yes.
In this way, we can say that most of the policy documents, they are realized through, or they are fixed, they are directly orientated by the government. The government decides what we should learn at what age and at what time, and then
Yes.
how should we be assessed going forward. And then also considering that this is only looking at how we are in South Africa. Even in other countries, this is also being according to a party from a party. If a particular, let's say, government takes comes in, it might change a curriculum to
Yes.
fit their best
Yes,
intentions, what they
Yes.
want the country to move forward with, and their intentions.
Yes, and this centralization is quite difficult and complicating things, because if you look at, for example, not only South Africa, countries like United States of America and New Zealand, we have a national curriculum. So who decides that? Why should we have the same curriculum as a nation, and why? Why is that? So basically what he's saying is the government does not consider the specific needs or differences between societies. It's just about, we need this to happen, this needs to happen, and they're not explaining to anyone or why they say that.
And then also looking on the central planning and the control, it is also linked in a linear pattern, in a linear implementation of ideas and one size fits all, without
True,
looking at
true.
the background of
Yes.
would this fit a particular context,
Yes.
because other countries may
Yes.
not have resources like
South
the Western
Africa.
countries, which are well organized.
Yes.
But in terms of that, we also need to look at if if we take that away, or if maybe we don't actually follow that, our curriculum may not be fit enough to can compare the education standard
Yes.
of other countries.
Yes.
But actually, we're saying that if it's one size fits all, the curriculum will be the same throughout, which means the results and the product will be the same throughout. And then they shouldn't be based on political perspective or a certain agendas which are
Or the elite groups, or the politicians,
yes,
or those in the authority.
yes.
So basically, there's a certain procedure that needs to be followed. Who decides that after learners have been assigned there should be examination? Why should that be used for all the learners or all the nations, if I may say? Although we can look at colonialism. So I think also this discourse tries to challenge the coloniality or colonialization of education. I think in South Africa, education is still also colonialized, because now if you look, the context is still reference from the Western cultures, not focusing on Africa or South Africa as an individual. It will be better if it was Africa, it will be better, but that's failing still. Still, the context fits the Western cultures. Also, for example, the CAPS, which is the current curriculum policy that is used in South Africa. It's not our own. It was adopted from the West. Why should that happen? This is the pressure of saying global, I don't know, globalization. We should fit to the other. Why should that happen? Who said if you're not from, you're not originating, or you're not educated from your own decisions or perspectives of your own nation, you wouldn't fit to the other countries? You understand? So yeah, I think again, what you call this discourse is it's okay, it's right in a way that it helps us to have an overview or a broad picture of what curriculum should contain or should look like in each country.
Yes. Also, on a nutshell, we also need to look at because of South Africa is still a developing country. Okay, let us have our view, let us have our opinion in the curriculum planning.
Yes.
So that actually, even though it is international curriculum kind of, but it also fits us best according to the resources that we are having. So that at least for future planning, we are looking at the same type of education in terms of the standard of other countries. Because if we are actually going to compare that or use our own, it might also disadvantage us in the long run. But let us at least have our own curriculum that is in aligned with the international curriculum and the standard based. And also we need to look at things that are being done. Let us not just focus on the formal education. Let us not just focus on the syllabus, examination, assessment. What about
indigenous education as well? For example, in Africa, we are good at art, we are good at animals, nature. So that should also be important. It shouldn't be about technology and so that, because I think that's what creates this pressure of globalization. It seems like if you are good in technology, now you can fit anyway. You see that? Yeah.
Maybe probably if we can use technology in aligned with our abilities and their abilities, our history, that could work to our advantage. But if we're looking at actually skipping straight into the internationalism of curriculum, that might also fail us in the long run.
Because we'll try to fit in. Remember, this fitting in, I think we tend to misinterpret this in globalization. It's somehow, I feel like somehow this globalization, it's disadvantageous on us because it makes us lose our culture. It makes us feel pressured to fit into outside, although it's about us. At the end, that education is going to benefit us here. We end up having students going overseas to get, since it's perceived that if you go study overseas, you are much more educated than here. Why is that? Why should that happen? Because we still have good universities, we still have educated professors, and also that we are able
the international standards.
Exactly. Yes. Okay, it's a good thing. We're not saying people should not go and study overseas, but let's not say going overseas you'll be educated better than when you study here. Whereas we can still get again, what do you call, the education system that can meet the standards of other countries. Let's not adopt the Western curriculum and adopt it here, whereas we do not match.
Yes. And then according to Du Preez and Rering, we must also look, they quite mention something very important when they say curriculum studies should not only be marked as a product, but you also have to look at the history perspective. You also look
the during process,
the continuity of curriculum studies, and after then we can look at the discourse which actually leads to a change. Because either way, if we don't change, we are likely not to adapt to the standard of the
obviously that's the only constant that we have.
And then
so yeah, thank you. That's what we have.
Let us look at the recommendations that we can actually.
Yes, so
On the recommendations, actually, according to Dupreez again, we also notice that more research need to be done in terms of curriculum. We still need to compare quite a lot of stuff with other countries so that we can actually come back with a concrete curriculum that best fits
yes,
everyone.
yes.
So actually, if maybe the government or the international could actually invest more into research, because actually when we look at curriculum scholars, they are comparing culture, gender, multicultural education or curriculum. So we actually have to, it might work best if we actually coming together into mixing of ideas and incorporating them as one and moving in that direction.
Yes, and I like what also Dupreez and Reddy said. They said they're not saying curriculum shouldn't include multicultural education, gender. They're not saying they should. Curriculum shouldn't look or include those things. But at least it must fit each one's needs and abilities and capabilities. For example, yes, we should have we have rural areas. For example, we know in South Africa we have very rural areas, we have urban areas, and I'm not saying they are not compatible, but at least we can say each group, or what can I say,
Culture, diversity.
Yes, can have their own kind or type of curriculum, but also multicultural education should also be included, not forcefully to have a national curriculum which fits everyone. Hence, we are not the same. We do not have the same abilities and the same needs.
In closure, according to Dupreez, curriculum scholars should position themselves. It is their responsibility, not their choice. This is decentralization and diversification of a discipline. Topics that are frequently addressed as part of internationalism curriculum discourse include the indigenous resistant, in fact, and as well as the renewal of imported curriculum, a rejection of the promise of the one best curriculum. Okay, so actually if you look at that, is that the indigenous knowledge might also resist that too much, and then we don't want the imposed curriculum.
Okay, thank you. That's all for this from us.